She just wanted to treat her daughter to a scoop of ice cream, but instead, flashing red and blue lights surrounded her. A stranger's voice screamed, "They don't belong here." And within minutes, cops were asking questions no mother should have to answer. But what the woman behind the false call didn't know. The truth about this black mother was about to silence an entire town. The sun was gentle, the breeze soft, and the streets of Fairview Heights, a clean, picture-perfect suburban town, looked like a scene from a postcard. Manicured lawns, pastel-colored houses, and smiling joggers lined the sidewalks. But for Alicia Carter, it wasn't the scenery that made the day beautiful. It was the wide grin on her daughter Maya's face. Alicia, a black woman in her early 30s, wore a casual peach blouse and jeans, her natural curls pulled into a neat bun. Maya, just 10, skipped beside her in sparkly sneakers, gripping her mother's hand tightly as they walked toward Sunny Scoops, the local ice cream parlor nestled at the corner of Main Street. It was their Saturday ritual. Every other week, no matter how busy Alicia was with court cases, depositions, or community meetings, they made time for this one thing. Ice cream, giggles, and girl talk. Today was no different. Inside the shop, the air smelled like vanilla and strawberry syrup. Alicia knelt beside Maya, smiling. "Okay, birthday cake or cookies and cream?" she teased. Maya grinned. "Cookies and cream. Duh." They ordered, paid, found a sunny bench outside beneath a hanging flower basket. Laughter bubbled from Maya as she tried to catch melting drops before they reached the cone. For a few peaceful moments, nothing else mattered. No work, no world. Just mom and daughter, enjoying their little slice of joy. But across the street, behind tinted sunglasses and a clenched jaw, someone was watching, judging, assuming. And in just a few minutes, that peaceful afternoon would be shattered, not by crime, not by chaos, but by a phone call soaked in fear, bias, and entitlement. Across the street, nestled behind the wheel of a silver SUV, Cheryl Dunbar sat parked near the curb, sipping lukewarm coffee from a reusable cup. Mid-40s, blonde bob, expensive sunglasses perched on her nose, she scanned the street with narrowed eyes. Cheryl had lived in Fairview Heights for 18 years, and she prided herself on knowing who belonged and who didn't. When her eyes landed on Alicia and Maya, her expression tightened. She didn't know their names. She didn't know Alicia was a lawyer. She didn't know Maya was a straight-A student who loved comic books and piano. All Cheryl saw were two black faces in what she considered her neighborhood. Two faces that, in her mind, didn't quite fit. She watched them with that tight-lipped suspicion that so often hides behind the word concern. Alicia's laughter? Interpreted as disruptive. Maya's bouncing feet? Labeled as unruly. The mother's presence on the bench? Somehow threatening. Cheryl lowered her sunglasses and snapped a photo on her phone. Then, without hesitation, she dialed 911. "Yes, hello. I need to report two individuals loitering outside Sunny Scoops. They've been here for a while. They're acting suspicious, refusing to leave when asked." She paused for dramatic effect, voice calm, yet layered with implication. "I'm not sure what they're up to, but it doesn't feel right." She never spoke to Alicia, never approached the staff, never asked a question, because in Cheryl's mind, her assumptions were enough. And now, with one careless call, she had set a chain of events in motion, one that would not only challenge her worldview, but expose it to the entire town. The sound came first, the sharp crunch of tires over gravel. Alicia glanced up instinctively. Two police cruisers pulled into the parking lot, lights spinning silently. No sirens, no urgency, just presence. Heavy, unwelcome. She and Maya were still sitting on the same bench outside the ice cream shop. Maya's cone had melted slightly, leaving sticky trails down her hand. Alicia was in the middle of telling her a story from her own childhood. Then the doors slammed. Two officers stepped out, both white, both in their 30s. One adjusted his belt. The other scanned the area with practiced suspicion. Alicia's instincts kicked in. She straightened in her seat, gently reached over and wiped Maya's chin with a napkin. She knew how these situations could unfold, how quickly a quiet afternoon could turn into a confrontation. The taller officer, name tag reading Matthews, approached them. "You two been out here long?" he asked flatly, already within arm's reach. Alicia's brows knitted. "Excuse me." Matthews nodded toward her purse. "Can I see your ID, ma'am?" "For what reason?" Alicia asked calmly, her voice cool but firm. His partner, Reed, chimed in. "We got a call about 2 people loitering. We just need to verify." Alicia blinked, confused but composed. "We just bought ice cream from the shop behind you. My daughter is 10. We're not loitering, we're sitting." Reed's gaze flicked to Maya, who now shrank back into her mother's side, eyes wide and full of questions she was too young to ask. "Ma, what's going on?" she whispered. Alicia squeezed her hand. "Nothing, baby. Just stay with me." She reached into her bag, slowly, and pulled out her phone. "If we're being questioned, I'm going to record this," she said. "For our safety." Matthews stiffened, but didn't object. People walking by began to notice. One couple paused. A woman inside the shop looked out the window. The once quiet afternoon now buzzed with tension. And as the cameras started rolling, Alicia's and those of onlookers, so did the quiet reckoning. The camera on Alicia's phone was steady, her voice unwavering. "Officers," she said, keeping her tone even, "I'm sitting outside an ice cream shop with my daughter. We paid for our food. We haven't broken any laws. So again, can you explain why I'm being questioned?" Officer Matthews shifted his weight, visibly aware now that they were being recorded. "We received a call about suspicious behavior," he repeated, more cautiously this time. "It's routine." "Suspicious," Alicia echoed. "What exactly did the caller say we were doing?" Reed looked at Matthews, unsure how much to reveal. Alicia waited. "I'm not showing ID unless you can give me a lawful reason," she continued. "This is still America, right?" Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried, sharp, clear, impossible to ignore. Maya clung to her mother's side, wide-eyed. Alicia gently rested her hand on her daughter's back, protective but calm. The energy around them shifted. The officers weren't in control anymore. Alicia was. Nearby, a few more pedestrians had paused. One teenage boy had his phone out, filming. A couple seated outside a café across the street turned in their chairs. The air grew thick with curiosity and caution. Alicia didn't flinch. She knew her rights. She knew the law better than these officers probably did. And more importantly, she knew how to handle this moment with grace. "I'm recording," she said again, not as a threat, but a statement of fact. "For my safety. For my daughters." Matthews glanced nervously toward the growing crowd. This wasn't going the way they expected. There was no panic, no aggression, just a poised black woman who refused to be intimidated. And as eyes from every direction fell on the scene, one silent truth grew louder. This isn't about safety. This is about bias. Just as the tension reached its peak, a sharp voice cut through the murmurs. "That's enough." Cheryl Dunbar stormed up to the scene, her face flushed with indignation. She was being aggressive, refusing to cooperate. "I had to call the cops because I was scared." Her words, loud and forceful, seemed designed to drown out Alicia's calm presence. But the people nearby weren't buying it. From just inside the ice cream shop, a teenage boy stepped forward. His name tag read Jesse. He was about 16, lean, with a quiet confidence. Jesse shook his head. "No, ma'am. Alicia and her daughter are regulars here. They came in, paid, and sat down like anyone else." She wasn't aggressive, she was polite. A few other customers nodded in agreement. A woman sipping coffee muttered, "Yeah, I saw everything. Nothing suspicious." The crowd grew larger, whispers spreading. Some stepped closer, phones raised, recording Cheryl's angry accusations and the calm defense from the shop staff. Officer Matthews glanced nervously at Cheryl, then at Alicia. The officer's earlier certainty began to waver. Cheryl's face tightened, her voice losing steam. Look, I'm just concerned about the safety of this neighborhood," she stammered, but it was clear her story was falling apart. Questions started to ripple through the gathering crowd. Why had the police been called at all? Was fear and bias behind the call? Why had a peaceful mother and daughter been targeted for simply enjoying their day? The atmosphere shifted from confrontation to scrutiny. Cheryl, the self-appointed protector of the neighborhood, was quickly becoming the focus of suspicion herself. Alicia took a deep breath, her eyes steady and composed despite the mounting tension. She spoke clearly, with quiet authority. "If there's any doubt about what happened here," she said, "I suggest you check the store's security footage. It will show exactly what we did." The officers exchanged glances. Matthews hesitated but then nodded. "All right, we'll take a look." The manager of Sunny Scoops, a kind-faced middle-aged man named Mr. Hernandez, stepped forward. "Let me get the video for you," he said, leading the officers inside the shop. A small crowd lingered outside, waiting. Minutes later, the officers gathered around the store's monitor. The footage played clearly. Alicia and Maya entering the shop with smiles, ordering their ice cream politely. Sitting quietly on the bench, laughing softly as they enjoyed their cones. No loud voices. No suspicious behavior. No confrontation. The video told a story completely opposite to Cheryl's claims. Matthews glanced at Reed, his expression unreadable but tinged with regret. He looked up at Alicia. "Ma'am, it appears the call was unfounded. We apologize for the inconvenience." Cheryl stood silently nearby, the color drained from her face. In that moment, the truth was undeniable. Alicia and Maya were innocent victims of a lie born from fear and prejudice. Officer Matthews cleared his throat, shifting uncomfortably. "Ma'am, we're sorry for the misunderstanding. We didn't mean to cause any distress." Reed nodded, eyes lowered. "We should have handled this differently." Alicia met their gaze calmly, then said with quiet pride, "I appreciate your apology. But you should also know something." She pulled out her wallet and showed her civil rights attorney ID. "I'm Alicia Carter. I'm a practicing civil rights lawyer, and recently appointed to our city's racial justice task force." The officers blinked, taken aback. The crowd around them whispered and gasped softly, the weight of the moment settling in. Maya tugged gently at Alicia's sleeve and looked up at her mother, voice small but hopeful. "Mommy, are we going home now?" Alicia smiled warmly and hugged her daughter close. "Yes, baby. We're going home." The stunned silence wasn't just about the apology. It was about the harsh reality that assumptions and biases had brought police to a black mother and her child enjoying ice cream, only to be undone by the truth. This wasn't just a personal victory. It was a statement. Within hours of the encounter, Alicia posted the video online. Her calm composure, the officers' responses, and Cheryl's false accusations all laid bare. The video struck a chord. Views skyrocketed into the millions. Shares, comments, and messages poured in from across the country. "Justice served," one comment read. "This is why we need change," another said. But with the spotlight came consequences. Cheryl Dunbar was quickly identified by local news outlets. Her phone number and workplace, an upscale real estate firm, became public knowledge. The backlash was swift and fierce. Calls flooded her employer, demanding accountability. Within days, Cheryl was placed on leave, then officially fired for conduct unbecoming of the company's values. Fairview Heights, once proud of its peaceful suburban charm, found itself grappling with national embarrassment. Local leaders convened an emergency town hall meeting. Residents packed the community center, some demanding justice, others calling for calm and understanding. Alicia was invited to speak, not just as a victim, but as a voice for change. The video that started as a peaceful afternoon now fueled a larger conversation about race, bias, and the urgent need to rebuild trust. The community center was packed, the air thick with emotion. Faces, some hopeful, some skeptical, turned toward the stage where Alicia Carter stepped forward, calm and poised. She began softly, "What happened to me and my daughter wasn't just an isolated incident. It's part of a larger story that Black families have lived for generations, a story of being seen as other, of being judged unfairly." Her voice grew stronger, resolute. But this moment is also an opportunity. An opportunity to listen, to learn, and to change. Alicia called for concrete action, education programs in schools, mandatory bias training for police and public officials, and true community reform that includes every voice, especially those historically ignored. She quoted Maya Angelou, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better." And in a powerful echo, she reminded the room of Rosa Parks' courage. Each of us must stand up for what we believe in, peacefully but firmly, to create lasting change. The crowd erupted into applause. Some faces teared up, others nodded thoughtfully. Alicia's message wasn't just about her story. It was about building a future where no child would fear simply enjoying a day out with their mother. In that moment, hope began to outshine fear. Weeks later, the warm sun filtered gently through the trees of Fairview Heights. Alicia and Maya walked hand in hand down the familiar sidewalk, their steps lighter than before. As they approached Sunny Scoops, the air felt different, warmer, kinder. The staff greeted them with genuine smiles. No suspicious glances, no assumptions, just respect. Outside the shop, new signs stood proudly. Bias-free zone. Bright, hopeful, a clear promise of change. Inside, the manager told Alicia quietly that all employees had completed racial sensitivity training. The store had committed to creating a welcoming space for everyone, no exceptions. Maya's eyes sparkled as she picked her favorite flavor. Alicia watched her daughter laugh freely, heart full. A voiceover played softly over the scene. One act of ignorance tried to ruin a child's day, but instead, it opened a door to justice. The camera pulled back, capturing a community beginning to heal, one step at a time.